You take a painkiller for a broken heart, not a metaphor, a real pill, in a real study, in a real lab, with real brain scanners, and it actually worked. Let that sit for a second, because your brain was never supposed to be able to do that. Here's the setup. Scientists put people in a brain scanner. Then they made them relive a breakup, not talk about it casually. Really sit with it. Look at a photo of the person who left them. Remember the exact moment it ended. And the brain scan lit up in the exact same spot as someone getting burned with a hot iron. Not a similar spot, the same spot. Down to the same cluster of cells, which means somewhere in your skull, there's a system that never learned the difference between a broken rib and a broken heart. But here's where it gets strange. Why would evolution build it that way? Pain is supposed to protect your body, keep your hand off the stove, stop walking at the broken ankle, force you to rest until the damage heals. So why would it waste that same alarm on something that can't even bleed, something with no wound, no bruise, nothing a doctor could ever put a bandage on? Scientists had a theory, and it's a little unsettling once you actually think it through. They think heartbreak pain is a hijack. Millions of years ago, humans didn't survive alone. You needed the group. You needed people to share food with you, warn you about predators, help you when you got sick. So being rejected from your tribe wasn't just sad. It was a death sentence. No group meant no food, no protection, no chance of surviving the night out there by yourself. Your brain needed a way to stop that from happening, a way to make rejection feel urgent enough that you'd do anything to avoid it. So instead of building a brand new alarm system from scratch, it grabbed the one it already had, physical pain, and repurposed it for social danger. In other words, your brain never built a separate system for emotional pain. It just recycled an old one and gave it a new job. And once you know that, a bunch of everyday phrases suddenly make sense in a way they never did before. That comment really hurt. It felt like a punch in the gut. She stabbed me in the back. You always thought that was just a figure of speech, just poetic language. It's not. Your brain is being completely literal. It's using the only language it has for danger, pain. That's not a coincidence of vocabulary. That's your nervous system telling on itself. But this is where the story should be over. Scientists found the overlap, wrote the paper, moved on to the next study. Except one detail didn't add up. If a breakup and a broken bone used the exact same alarm, shouldn't a broken bone heal on the same timeline as a broken heart? It doesn't. Not even close. A sprained ankle heals in a few weeks. Most people are walking normally again in a month. But a bad breakup can echo for years. Some people still flinch at a song from that relationship a decade later. Same alarm, wildly different clock. So researchers dug deeper, and what they found changes the whole picture. Physical pain has a shut-off switch. Once the tissue actually repairs itself, the nerve signals fade out. Job done, alarm off. Your body can literally scan the wound, confirm it's healed, and stop sending the pain signal. Emotional pain does not have that switch. There's no wound to scan, no tissue to check under a microscope, no doctor who can look at your heart and say, "Yep, that's fully repaired now, you're cleared." So the alarm just keeps running, sometimes for years, triggered by a song, a street corner, a smell that reminds you of them, even a random word in a conversation that has nothing to do with the person at all. Which means the reason old heartbreak still stings isn't that you're weak, or dramatic, or bad at moving on like everyone keeps telling you. It's that your brain is still waiting for a signal that was never designed to come in the first place. It's stuck in a loop, checking for proof of healing that doesn't exist for this kind of wound. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. This isn't just about romance. It's every kind of rejection, getting left out of a group chat, watching people laugh at a joke you weren't invited to hear, getting ghosted after a job interview you thought went well, watching a friend slowly stop texting back, same ancient alarm, same "you might die out here alone" signal, blaring over something that, on paper, is completely harmless. Nobody is actually going to starve because a group chat went quiet. But your brain doesn't know the difference between 2026 and 20,000 years ago. To your nervous system, being excluded from a group chat can register almost the same as being left outside the tribe overnight, with the fire going out and the cold closing in. That's not weakness. That's just old software running on new hardware it was never designed for. So back to that painkiller. If emotional and physical pain shared the same circuit, scientists asked an obvious next question. Could a regular painkiller painkiller, the kind you'd take for a headache, also dull heartbreak. They tested it directly, gave one group of people a common over-the-counter pain reliever, gave another group a placebo that looked identical, then had everyone go through emotional pain tasks, like viewing photos of an ex, or remembering a specific rejection. The group on the actual painkiller reported measurably less emotional pain than the group on the placebo. Not a huge difference, but a real, measurable one. Enough to show up clearly in the data. A pill built for a headache, working on heartbreak. That should not be possible. If these were two separate systems, living in different parts of the brain, it's only possible because they're the same system, just wearing two different masks depending on the situation. Now here's the twist that reframes everything you just heard. This means your body has never once let you go through a rejection completely alone. Every time you got dumped, every time a friend went cold on you, every time you felt invisible in a room full of people, your body treated it as seriously as physical danger, as seriously as a broken bone. Not because you're overreacting, not because you need to just get over it, but because somewhere in your oldest wiring, being cut off from other people still means the exact same thing it meant 20,000 years ago. Not loneliness, not just sadness, extinction. Your brain is still protecting you, like your literal survival depends on staying inside the group. Because for almost all of human history, it genuinely did. There was no version of surviving alone out there for very long. So the next time rejection hits harder than it should, harder than the actual event seems to justify, on paper, remember this. That's not damage. That's not you being fragile or too sensitive. That's a system built over millions of years, still doing its job perfectly, still running exactly as designed, just aimed at a modern world that doesn't work quite the same way it used to. Your body isn't keeping a list of everyone who hurt you because something in you is broken. It's keeping that list because, as far as it's concerned, your survival still depends on remembering exactly who is safe and who isn't.